Good morning, friends. Welcome to this wonderful coffee talk. We found some sunshine. Took us a little while, but we found some sunshine. So thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a week. And Chris, you're still alive after May Camp. We're so glad to see you back. And
what's the best thing
all
that
in
happened?
one piece?
That's an impossible question.
At you.
That's an absolutely
What's a
impossible question.
highlight from you?
I think I've coined a new phrase for May Camp. I just think this needs to become the now and forever May Camp slogan, and it is until we eat again.
Until we eat again.
I think that's going to be our new May Camp theme.
Yes.
From
Fantastic.
this point on.
I was never hungry.
Also works for the Pastors Conference.
Yes.
Oh.
Also works for the Pastors Conference.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh
Family
really?
reunions.
It's lunch already?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Our speaker was wonderful. He took us to this passage. I don't know if you know it, Jeff, but it's in Matthew 5. It's called the Beatitudes.
Oh, sounds familiar.
So he, in 4 sessions, walked us through the entirety, and we kind of all went, yeah, that's pretty quick. We've done it fast too.
Yeah.
But it was good. Yeah, he was great.
Good.
Worship was
Good.
awesome. Worship was youth leaders from Sunshine Ridge Church. They did wonderful. And then just all the time we had with our youth, just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
There was 9 Square, lots of 9 Square.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our youth have slightly different interests, right?
Yeah.
One of them in particular was just like 9 Square court every possible minute. Others
like
were...
Sounds like somebody related to me that I know.
No, I think he actually put his sleeping bag there and just...
He tried.
Is that your
We
son?
did shut him down.
Yeah.
He tried.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really 9 Square by yourself is no fun.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah.
That's,
If there's people, you got to jump on
but
it.
there was one evening, because 11 o'clock is when we kind of send everyone indoors, and at 10:40 there was some of our youth going, "Can we do 9 Square in the dark?"
Yeah.
If you want to go for it, you got 20 minutes. Like,
That's great.
get going.
Make sure you get it in the face at least once.
That's right.
So.
So yeah, but it was good. It was really good.
That's great. Glad to hear it.
Good. And then, during that whole weekend, some of the people had to step out and went to grad, and we'll talk a whole lot more about that this Sunday. But this last Sunday, Jeff, you continued us on in this series of the Sermon on the Mount, and coming out of the Lord's Prayer and through fasting, and now we're on to the easiest passage of all time because you just do it. It's just done. It's so easy.
Yeah.
I say that facetiously because it actually is very difficult. Because as I think about it, when we teach our kids to drive, I'm going to do this. When we teach our kids to drive on the prairies, for sure, there's always ice somewhere, everywhere, right? I feel like we've said this so many times, but when you hit ice, not if you're gonna hit ice.
Yeah.
When you hit ice, where you look matters immensely.
Yeah.
And so what you're looking at is actually where you're going to go, because quite often in that split second, if you're looking at the car that's coming towards you, you're probably going to, without thinking about it, try and get out of that ice slide and go right into it. But if you're looking to where you want to go, you actually probably are more likely to head in that direction. So you talked about, Jesus talked about storing up treasures, and then the eyes, and then money.
Yep.
So it's this huge passage.
Yeah,
You've got these 3 major things.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you tell us, just kind of break that down a little bit? You had this 3-phrase thing.
Yeah, well, the whole passage deals with a clash of values, which the whole sermon is actually about, a clash of the kingdom of heaven values versus the kingdom of earth values. But it's just like, it seemed to me that he was talking about priorities. Do you prioritize treasures in heaven over treasures in earth? Do you prioritize looking for something earthly or something that will, be eternal? Or do you, and then the third one is, do you serve or love, do you prioritize loving things that aren't eternal or are eternal?
Yeah.
So it kind of clash of values broken down into what you treasure, what you seek with your eyes, and what you serve, or who you serve or who you love, right? You serve who you love, right? So Yeah.
What you treasure, what you seek, what you love.
Yeah.
It seems like those three words do come up over and over in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Sermon on the Mount
Yeah.
a few more times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
treasure, and later on,
Mhm.
Jesus talks about,
Mhm.
finding pearls and
Yeah.
treasures, and right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super tough. It's a tough passage because,
Yeah, why?
for me, I read it and I'm like, I mentioned that on Sunday. You can't serve both God and money. Yeah, I can. I try to all the time. I mean, and when we actually read it, it says you can't. So what does that mean to me?
Right.
And what does that mean to living in North America where it's all about money?
Right.
Every advertisement that comes at us is, at least most every advertisement is about how can somebody get money from you. So they're trying to sell you things, trying to tell you that you need this, and you're living in this environment, and so we think about money a lot. We try to save money a lot. We're told that we need to save a certain amount for retirement. We're told that we have to have insurance. And Jesus is saying, is your insurance with that or with me, right? Is your insurance for retirement with that or me? And it really challenges our values in North America because that is all around us. And then same thing with what you treasure. You will treasure what you're saving for, what you're thinking about, what you'll seek, what's your core value. And so he's just challenging our value system. Like, do you really value me more? Because if you do, you don't need to worry about that bank account.
Right.
You don't need that boat,
Right.
And sometimes that boat he'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But sometimes he won't. And are you okay either way, right?
Yeah, maybe that's more, maybe another question beyond that of like, okay, if I'm taking this super literally,
Mhm.
which I don't know if Jesus intends us to, but like, is he literally talking about money? Because what if I don't have money, but I have experiences and I have all these other things,
Mhm.
right? Like, when he talks about you cannot serve both God and mammon,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I was to seem a little bit more literal, is it talking about a dollar amount?
Right.
Or is it talking
Yeah.
about other things that maybe we can replace with sometimes money and
Oh, totally. Money for us.
pursuit of happiness even is another.
But it's basically material wealth.
Yeah.
Like whether it's like in the day of Jesus, he talked about vermin and moths because cloth, like clothing, was valuable, and crops were valuable. You would store those up. But then we translated to rust. Eater. It's basically vermin is eater, and so like rust eats coins, and so that
Right.
translates to coins and stuff.
Right.
So it's anything that we try to store up for ourselves and accumulate for ourselves to put our security in, or
Right.
to raise our value
Yeah.
from, and he's like, those you find in me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be mammon, like one commentator said. I feel like you wanted to jump in, but I'll finish this thought. Mammon, one commentator said, was a personification of wealth, material things, with the capital M, mammon,
Right.
And I thought that was so great, right? Like, yeah, it's like, who is your God? Is it the Almighty God, or is it whatever you put your hope and trust and security, whatever, in?
So mammon isn't like a specific god of that day, or is? I don't know.
Mamona was a Greek word, and I have to
Okay.
go back and remember or revisit, because I can't exactly remember what it was then. But we transliterate it mammon with the capital M, and that's what the commentator was playing on.
Right.
What it specifically was back then, I'd have to go back and look.
Is there any interplay then with the Hebrew manna? Like you say this, and I think
Yeah.
that was also the temptation in their day, right?
Yeah.
Because they would want, like, we've got all this. Let's just collect.
Yes.
Let's gather.
Yeah.
Let's fill
Yes.
our baskets. They go back to camp.
Put it in jars.
They eat a bunch. Realize we got way too much. Save it for the next day. It is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With the idea being, like, I love that. It kind of ties in, I guess, more with Jesus' prayer that he offers. Right.
Mhm.
Give us today our daily bread.
Yeah.
And there is something in his mind that would move us away from storehouses.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when I look around West Kelowna, it seems there's a new storage facility cropping up almost every year.
Well, that's why I say it's so challenging, because that's one of the biggest industries now. I was just listening to a podcast, and they were saying if you would have invested, 15 years ago or 20 years ago in storage units, you would be massively rich. So again, like, that's just a good nowadays illustration. Yes, I think Jesus does go back to manna in the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
And even in the passage we'll be looking at this week, that one maybe a little, but the idea, like you said, it's every day God gives you what you need. And it's such a good illustration of that, because they would collect more for the next day at the beginning, and it rotted, and they're like, he was just very clearly showing, it's this day I provide for. Don't worry about tomorrow. So but you just by our discussion here, you can see how difficult this passage is for us, right?
Yeah, and like you can even take. I mean, you say it's storage facility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could take this to an extreme of realizing, actually, more often than not, it becomes a very personal thing. Try and buy a house without a storage room.
Mm-hmm.
Try and buy,
Why would you want to?
Why would you want to, right? Try and find a place without. But yet, is Jesus saying, throw away everything?
Right, and that's
right?
that's actually really
that's
good. That's part of the tough question of it.
That's what makes it difficult,
Yeah.
because is Jesus saying that? Is Jesus saying we all have to be homeless in order to fully serve Him?
I think he's saying.
I think that's what
I would
people
say
often
no,
wrestle with.
except there could become a point where your stuff begins to rule you.
Yes.
And if I think about how much of my allocated time in a week is spent towards maintaining the stuff, if keeping track of the stuff, if storing the stuff, cleaning up the stuff, moving stuff around, picking up the stuff is preventing me from actually loving people, then I think he would have something critical to say about that.
Yeah.
If I'm not available to any people in my life because I'm so focused on my stuff, then it is ruling. And maybe, I think for me, that's one of those questions to weigh everything. Is this pursuit, this care, getting in the way of loving people?
Yeah.
Well, and I'd add to that. So I'd add to that. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I think he does call some people to
He
give
does.
up,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to say.
It's not that's the thing with the wisdom here. It's not like, okay, we got to all take it this way. It's like he will ask some people to give it all up.
Yeah.
He'll ask some people, and you guys are good examples of this, to recognize this is the Lord's and to use it in His service. So you were gone for a weekend, and Sheena realized that I was kind of struggling to make cars work, and she's like, here's the car, we're not using it. Like, even if you were and I needed it, you would probably say, go for it, right? Like, that's the kind of attitude He wants us to have with our stuff. This is His for use in His service. And so how do I use my house to help others, or to be valuable to others, or whatever, right?
So as Chris was talking, okay, so maybe this is more my personality too, but I think at the end of the day, I would rather have a playground than a museum of things that God is going to use in my life, that I can say, God, this is yours, use it. Thank you for the blessing of it. I gladly receive it, but I don't have to have it. But may I use it for your glory along with others. And I think that's where, like, if I'm just shining all of these things and saying, this is for me and mine, and like, maybe.
Yeah, it's selfish
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It also feels a little bit,
Well, no, I think
communist.
it's why this is a hard passage, though. It's not hard because we don't necessarily want to do it. It's hard because it's not, in some ways, because it's not clear.
Yeah.
We would love Jesus to set a rule and say, this is good, this is bad, but He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He rarely does.
Yeah.
And so we talked earlier about getting a boat. Like, with that attitude, I would say get the boat, right? If it's an opportunity to, love people, bless others, do any number of kingdom building things, why not? And there's probably ways we would say, well, that's not wise, and there's
Okay.
certain situations where we would say not wise, but like it isn't just clear cut.
Yeah.
Yes, boat is good. No, boat is bad. Like whatever. It's what's the intention and the purpose, and is it about us and our status, or about way to bless and build kingdom?
Here's an example of what not to do. I know we shouldn't have negative examples, but this
Sometimes
is
we
my
need
negative example. So when we were first married, we were living off dorm. So we
Yeah.
had all of our friends who were on the dorm with us. So there are these college students who have one room, whatever. This is the beginning of the internet. Nobody really has a lot of whatever. I talked my wife, my new wife, into having us buy an Xbox
I thought this was the story.
because you can have a little thing that you put in the front,
Yeah.
which turns it into a DVD player.
Yes.
So then I could have college students over for them to have a space to just get off the dorm, whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't have we didn't have a lot of technology in the dorm at that time. So we're like, it could be a ministry to our fellow friends, and we could have, and we actually did. A few times we would have, people over, come off the dorm, we're gonna have a spaghetti night, we're gonna watch a movie, get off the dorm, whatever. It worked out really
Yeah.
well. But obviously, there was so many times Kevin abused it and said, no, I just want to play, 8 hours of Xbox today. That's just my life. So let me be. So this is obviously, I think, what Jesus is getting us to think about, saying, what do you seek? What do you treasure? What do you love?
Yeah. Good job.
I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, I was telling you guys, I got to the end of, like, okay, what's the challenge here? Because, and like you said, it's not like, all right, if you have $10, you're fine. If you have 12, get rid of the extra 2. It's not that, we want it to be that way. We want it, as a pastor, a preacher, I want to be like, okay, do this, then this, then this, and it's like, I don't know how to do with this to tell you, because it's not, I want you to wrestle with it. I think that's what Jesus wants us to do, is wrestle with it. Like, what are you valuing?
Yeah.
What are, and recognize that you're failing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm failing all the time, but that's what he wants us to be willing to do with ourselves, is humble ourselves and say, Jesus, I need you. And so I need you. And that's what he says to us. I love you. I came because you can't do it. So give it to him and then respond. Maybe he'll say, go out and give that thing to that person that needs it. Or maybe he'll say, look for somebody to give something to. Or maybe he'll say, invite this person over.
Yeah.
I don't know. But wrestle it through in prayer with the Lord and in conversation with others. Like,
Yeah, and that's where I think and when we start thinking about in terms of offering, of money, of generosity, that's where Jesus is going to call different people to different things. Jesus is going to call, for sure, as he said, to whom much is given, much is going to be expected, obviously. But even with the small amount that widow had, she gave out of generosity. And so God is going to call us all to different places along those lines. And it's our job to be reliant upon God in all those things, and to desire him first and foremost, and to use all of these things for his glory. So
No, it's great. I mean, I love that joyful generosity is a value that we want to have and grow and pursue as a community. Joyful generosity. And it doesn't necessarily start out joyfully, but I've realized, because I've realized that, like, when we tell somebody to be joyfully generous, I think it's a muscle. But as you, like, I've grown in generosity as I've learned and obeyed. I do it more joyfully now than I used to. It's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
Generosity is a muscle. Joyful is a muscle, and so
beautiful. So with that, we look at the things that are happening in our community and in our body, and we are thankful for all that God has given. We want to continually use that for his glory. And so looking ahead, we have a few things going on moving into June. Obviously, we said we were going to talk about some grad things. That's going to be on Sunday. And then looking ahead, Chris, I think you have a couple of events coming up.
Yeah, I pulled out the old calendar here just to make sure I don't steer any of you wrong. June 3rd. Yes, 3rd. Tuesday the 3rd. will be our next Westside United event.
Yeah.
So on the 2nd, we won't have youth here. Instead, the following night, we will be together over at Emmanuel and have youth with other youth groups in the West Kelowna.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're really looking forward to that. It'll kind of be our last one of those. We've done 2 of them already this year. Kind of one fall, one winter, now one spring.
Mhm.
And yeah, so those are always fun nights.
Oh yeah, so good.
You can also be looking forward to, I mean, it's much further out, but we can be continuing to pray for a drama camp. Things are coming together. Registrations are still, I think, sort of happening as we're going along here, but really be looking ahead and praying for what God is going to do in people's lives and through this time and through this drama camp, and so that God would be blessed through that, and people would be touched and connected in so many different ways through that.
But on Friday the 13th, we're planning our next Friday event. And so we want to welcome kids grade 3 to grade 6 here on a Friday night. And just to kind of close out our year with a little bit of fun and build relationships and build bridges. And especially for those who are more that grade 5, grade 6 range, get them excited and thinking about youth group in the near future. And so that's our purpose for that night. It's also a great leadership opportunity for our youth who really take that on. And so we're looking forward to that on June 13th.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then in all through June, we do our picnics at the Nut Farm after the morning gathering on Sundays. So come celebrate, worship with us at 10, and then either go and grab something on your way, or go and grab something at home and join us down there with a lawn chair and something to eat for your own lunch, and then something to do if you want. Or we just kind of sit around and hang out and talk, and then some of us might play bocce ball or jump in the water or something. It's just a good time. We like to do it every week so that if you have to miss one or two, you can still get others and connect with people that way. So yeah.
So there you have it. Lots of things happening in June. We look forward to it, and we will see you on Sunday.